Okay, so I'm not a drumline guy, I'm not a percussion guy, but I've learned enough to be dangerous. I'm gonna make a quick video here just to show you that picking the right heads, even though it might cost a little bit more money, picking the right heads and making sure that you as a just normal band director can kind of get them tuned up. The quality of the drums doesn't necessarily have to be the highest for you to get a nice sound on your instrument. So these are new. These are some new drums that our middle school got. They are Pearl Competitor Series. So they're real lightweight drums, and these are the snare drums, and they came with these Pearl branded drum heads. I've kind of gotten it as nice as I can get it, and it's not great. They sound kind of like a concert snare drum. And I've gotten this kind of tuned as much as I reasonably can. And so what I want to do is I'm going to switch out these heads that came with the drums for some Evans hybrid heads. They're the ones that we use at the high school. They are a little bit more expensive. They're not the most expensive drum heads, but they're a little bit more expensive. I'm going to switch them out and I will give you kind of an A/B test. And I'll also just show you kind of how I think about tuning these instruments a little bit. Again, I'm not a drumline guy, I'm a trumpet player, but I have learned enough to kind of negotiate my way around this. So right now, this is literally just on here finger tight. I do have, you'll see an impact driver. If you get an impact driver drum key, just use those to loosen the heads. Don't use it to tighten the heads because you could really do some damage. And then this is just a standard Pearl high torque drum key. And basically just like you kind of expect, you've probably learned you want to go in like a star pattern. So you want to pick a starting lug, and then you're going to go opposite, and then you're going to kind of, I usually go clockwise. So if you can see it, it's like here, and then here, and then I'll go here, 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 and then I'll have done all of the lugs once, and then I'll see where I'm at. So I'm not doing this very tight. In fact, usually when I'm just starting out, I usually just sort of use one finger until it kind of meets up with some resistance, and then I go to the other side. Okay, so again, that's not tight, right? This is still pretty loose, right? And what I'll look for is where are the places where the drum is sort of, the drum head is sort of buckling. That's places where the rim is not tight enough yet, and so it's kind of buckling over here. So I'll add a little bit of tension. It's still pretty loose there, so I'll go right here, add a little tension, still pretty loose. Now, at this point, it's about just getting it to raise in pitch. You want this bottom side to be pretty tight, but you're not trying to break anything. So at no point are you really cranking down on this. Again, I just think like 2 fingers until it's like kind of tight. 2 fingers. So once we're at this point, this is where I'll take a snare drum stick. And again, the snares here are totally off, like they're unhooked from the side. And I would say that's not quite high enough yet. So I'm gonna go a little bit higher, but I'm still not cranking this down, okay? So another maybe quarter turn or half turn. And what I'm doing here is I'm just listening for the pitch will go down and up based on how tight things are. So similar. So it's a little bit lower on this side, and this is the side that we had the kind of looser part. So it might just be a little bit looser in the actual drum head, but it also just might be a little looser in the where the lug started. So I'll just give it a little bit of a tighten down there. So that's going to be close enough for what I'm looking for right now. So I will add the snare unit back on, which is, again, this is nothing special. This is just the snares that came with the drum. I have this currently set. I have the snares loosened basically as far as they'll go, and I have it turned on, so you can see it's loosened, so it's kind of up, but it's turned on. So at this point, I just want to kind of bring it so that it is contacting the head, but not super tight. And then I'll tighten the snare. I'll tighten this like plastic piece for the snares down. Can't do anything right. So the snares are on now. Again, they're not tight against here. They're pretty loose. And so now what I'll do is I'll flip it over. So this is still the stock top head, but I flipped it over here, and I'm going to just use a drumstick. Then I'm gonna. That's clearly not quite ready, so I'm just clockwise turning the snares until they start to speak. And usually you'll feel them tighten up, like there it really felt like it was tight. But then I'll kind of give it maybe a half turn more. Uh-oh, the lights went off. Okay, so just replacing the bottom head with a nicer drum head, right? I have a much nicer sound. Right, that's a much nicer sound already. That's a much lower tone, a much lower timbre, and it has a much ringier bottom. Now, I'm going to do the same thing again and again, just using this to loosen. All right. Lining up the logo opposite the harness mount. And I'm gonna I usually get these like just started before I do anything, just because I want to make sure that this is coming straight down. So yeah, kind of wiggle it, and then you know, only use the drum key thing to loosen them. Never tighten them at all. These are not tight, by the way. I'm not tightening these. These are not even finger tight. I mean, I can still tighten these a little bit more with my fingers, but this is still fully loose. Okay. So then, same thing is going to happen. I'm going to start here. I'm going to do a star pattern where I go around clockwise. And I'm just going to start with one finger. So now I'm going to I go through and I just kind of try and judge how tight these are, just to make sure that they're all kind of in the same ballpark. Because again, this is you know, we're not taking this to the state fair. Overtones that I don't love. Okay, now I'm gonna just go through, these are all, they're close. I'm gonna go through and I'm just gonna add basically half a turn on each lug. So here we are. Okay, we still maybe have one or two that are just like a little bit off here. I've got a little bit of a ring that I'm trying to figure out. Usually for me, if I've got a ring, it's usually a bottom head thing. I usually need to bring the bottom head up a little bit more. And these heads do They stretch a little bit. They don't stretch as much as some heads that I have used. But again, I'm just coming in here and doing, because this is already mostly in tune, so I should be able to kind of just do the same. I'm doing basically a quarter turn on all of those lugs. And then there's still something. That was worse. Don't be afraid to just mess around with it. So, not too bad. Again, this is where we're coming from. Much ringier, much more spready. And honestly, a little louder than this one. I'm not hitting that very hard, and it is really, really loud. It's a little bit punchier, a little bit snappier. So these drum heads are more expensive than the cheap, super flimsy ones. Even adding decent drum heads to lower quality drum shells is going to be much better than putting crappy drum heads on really nice drum shells. So again, don't be afraid to mess around with drumline stuff. It's not that scary, and the chances that you're going to really catastrophically break something are fairly low. Never zero, but fairly low. Again, I could mess around with this for a lot longer, but I think that I would be better served by getting all of them to sound pretty close and then messing around with them some more. So I hope that helps. Good luck to you as you direct band this year.